Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation on BRT2 TV. My name is John Ghazi, and in the studio today I have two brand new guests who've never been on the programme before, and I have two ladies behind a brand new newspaper. I'm sure you've seen it on the shelves at local markets here in the TRNC, North Cyprus Scene. And I have with me Debbie Vineall and Serpil Kadırlar. First of all, Debbie and Serpil, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Good to be here.
And it's great to see you for the first time, Serpil. Nice to meet you after all that Facebook conversation.
Tell me about it. We got there in the end.
We got there in the end. And Debbie, we met not so long ago for the very first time at the North Cyprus Cancer Charity Trust Christmas fair, didn't we?
That's right.
You were doing interviews there and you were taking lots of great photographs for the paper. So let me start with you, Debbie. How long have you been here in North Cyprus?
Nearly 4 years.
And what brought you here to the TRNC? Where are you from originally?
From London, England.
You're from London,
Yes.
like me, a Londoner. So what brought you to North Cyprus?
The weather, the lovely people. Myself and my daughter, we moved here almost 4 years ago. She was 15 at the time. We'd never been to North Cyprus. We'd only ever been to the south side. I didn't want to move there. I just didn't want to move there.
Yeah.
So we came here for the first time and we moved here permanently. We just bought a suitcase each and we began our new life. She's actually married to a Turkish person.
Ah.
And, you know, we're very happy in our new life. But my daughter was destined to be here because when she was born, she's actually got the map of Cyprus on her knee.
No.
A birthmark, yeah.
Amazing. So you're telling me that you came to Cyprus.
Yes.
And that link is actually maybe, I mean, why Cyprus? I mean, you decided with your daughter you wanted to move abroad, you wanted to leave the UK. So was it because of the map of Cyprus that you chose Cyprus, or how did it come to be Cyprus then?
I don't know. I mean, it's so expensive to live in the UK now. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And for a woman on her own, with a child, it was quite daunting. So we decided we'd had enough of England. We went to Turkey that Christmas, and all the English people I met there, none of them live in England, and they said to me, how on earth do you afford to live there? Why do you live there? And we thought, well, why do we? So we didn't want to go to Turkey, but the next best thing was Northern Cyprus, although we'd never been.
And here you are now.
Yes.
Still here.
Yeah.
Still enjoying it?
Loving it.
Fantastic. You can tell by the lovely smile on your face. And Serpil, let's find out more about you. Obviously your name, so it's Turkish Cypriot, yes?
Yes.
Where are you from in the TRNC?
Lorigina.
Lorigina?
Yes.
Ah, Akıncılar.
Akıncılar.
Lovely. I heard so much about this wonderful village, but I haven't been there yet. I know that it's a very famous village.
Do you know, I actually only went there for the first time, I think last summer. And it was amazing because, you know, as we were going in, and I've always felt quite a connection to my extended family. I was very close with my hala, which is my paternal aunt. She was almost like a second mother to me. So the first time going in there, it was actually quite an emotional experience, and everywhere we were going, you know, I'd look to my left and think, oh, my nene, my grandmother would have seen that mountain when she was going here, or my late uncle would have, you know, walked past here to go to work and things like that, because obviously I've done a little bit of research about the village and asked my father, you know, about the village. Yeah. So going in was a really emotional experience, and then when I went in, and because I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of the families in Lorigina, they have sort of nicknames. Yeah. That they're known by, like a family nickname. So when I went in, and the first person that we saw, he said, oh, come in, sit down, have a drink, have something to eat. And complete strangers, but everybody was just, you know, so hospitable. And obviously that's not something that we really
used
see.
to.
No, and we're not. And then he started asking me questions, and it turned out that he was a teacher at my father's school. Then went on, and we met a neighbour who used to play with my dad, and she said, yeah, we used to run around here, and sometimes we'd run so fast we'd lose our slippers and shoes and things like that. And it was such an interesting experience.
Now, Lurridge is quite a famous village here because it was actually a bi-communal village, wasn't it? It still is. It still is a village where people go. It's quite popular where you have your festivals there. They have lots of gatherings and meetings. So you are from Lurridge, Never. Where are you living now?
Butte-Connaught.
Butte-Connaught?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know you were from that area, quite far away.
It is quite far away. That's because it's my husband's village, and we live with his mum, which she's quite old. And
But a beautiful location.
it is gorgeous, eco-village.
And another, yeah, I was about to say another place where everyone flocks to because of all the eco days that you have there. And
It's caused me a few problems in the past because, you know, they have these great festivals, and last year, sorry, I'm still not used to 2018, they had the festivals on the same day. So we live in Butte-Connaught, so it's logical to stay here. But obviously I wanted to go to both, and it wasn't an option.
Oh, but you live in a great part of North Cyprus. Butte-Connaught is beautiful.
Luckily.
Near the Karpaz, not too far from the Karpaz area. So let's find out about your backgrounds. Now, what were you doing in the UK professionally, work-wise?
Well, I spent a lot of my life, I was married for a long time. I've got 5 children.
5?
5.
No.
My eldest
You're too
son...
young to have 5 children.
Thank you, but I'm not. My eldest son, John, he lives in Thailand. My second eldest son, Danny, he lives in Southend. He's got a construction company. And then my daughter, her name is Jenna. I've got 2 beautiful granddaughters from her. A grandson from my son Danny as well. His name's Oscar. Got 2 beautiful granddaughters, Teddy and Sydney. And then I have another son, is Jimmy. He's also provided me with another grandchild. His name is Freddie. Jimmy and Demi are my youngest children. Demi's my daughter who is here with me.
Right.
She's now expecting 2. So I have soon more grandchildren than children. But I was working for a magazine for the government in the UK. I've always been into marketing, magazine work, that sort of thing. And also conference and events. I used to organise a lot of events and exhibitions.
So working for North Cyprus scene isn't really a big change in direction for you, I suppose. You've always been in, magazines, printing again, isn't it, and marketing. So
in publications.
In publications. So not too much of a big career change for you now at the moment.
No.
Although maybe reporting is maybe new for you.
A little bit, but I'm used to it, and I really enjoy writing.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, Serpil, living in Butte-Connaught with your husband, what's your background professionally? What do you...
Well, I was a very young mother. So I had my first son when I was, I was 19 when I fell pregnant. I think I was 20 by the time I had him.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all visualise going home with a happy, healthy baby. It didn't quite work out like that with my first son. He was quite unwell for the first 2 years of his life. But then he exceeded expectations with his health, and now he's in secondary school, happy, healthy, more energy than is probably normal for a human being, and one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life.
Amazing. You're far too young to be a mother like that.
I love the fact that I had children. It's very difficult, and I wouldn't advise it, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
Because you grow when you are younger, you grow with them almost, and it teaches you a lot in life as well. It teaches you patience, perseverance, and a million other things which you probably cannot experience until you become a parent. But it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. I think I, in a way, needed my children more than they needed me in that aspect in order to develop me as a person.
So you were a young mother?
Yes.
And now, I mean, as of course the topic today is talking about North Cyprus Scene, the newspaper. How did you get involved with that?
So I have a background in writing. I mean, when I did have my first son, it sort of gave me a reason to do more. So I've always read, I've always studied. I started back at university after I had, you know, my first child, and I studied education and English literature. But I wasn't at a stage where I wanted to really, and then, you know, the next one came along when he was 4.5. I didn't really want to give them up to childcare, but obviously a person has to work, so I began making wedding cakes.
Yeah.
So it's like from one extreme to another. So I was doing that for a little while. But I've always loved writing, and I've always focused on humanitarian issues, because I find that I write better when it's something. I find it extremely difficult to write about something which doesn't really relate or doesn't mean something.
Yeah.
And I am quite sensitive to human suffering. It doesn't matter who it is, where they're from. I'm always on the side of the oppressed.
Yeah.
And I like to encourage people to be the voice of the voiceless. So that's how my writing started, and I didn't really realise how much of an impact that can make. And it teaches you how important words are, how it can influence people. So you try to do, or you should try to do good with it. And, you know, some people do, some people don't. But that's how writing came about. And then I wrote to Serpil online and submitted an article which was published, and it sort of went from there, to be honest with you.
So, you know, once you began writing, you got the bug,
Yes.
and now we have the physical Serpil, North Serpil newspaper. Can you tell us a bit about the history of this, how it originally began?
It was originally a project of the people who run the Serpil website, and they had a vision of a newspaper. They approached somebody about it to fund it. Now, the person who, you know, owns it, Samuel he had different ideas which he wanted to submit to the newspaper. There was quite a clash in ideas and visions for how the newspaper was going to go in the future. They couldn't agree, and unfortunately the online Serpil no longer submits any articles, but, you know, we wish them all the best. Fantastic.
So we now have the North Serpil newspaper. How long has this been out now? When did you first start?
Well, this week will be the 14th edition, so 14 weeks.
14 weeks?
Yes, October.
Right,
October.
And so we know that obviously, you know, you're writing, Debbie's writing as well. You've got lots of different great articles ranging from a day in the life of, I know that you've done Tulgay Hilmi and Pam Schofield. Pam was recently on my programme. You've got different articles. This one, the cliche of media drivel. And as you say, you're quite personal with your writing. You want to write about what you're interested in, or what you know you want to.
Well, not necessarily what I'm interested in, but when you identify something which is being misused, and what that article was about was there was a week where there was a few newspapers which published things which were really quite insensitive. And the point I was trying to make there is that people, again, it's going back to the power of words. People, whether they realise it or not, they absorb that information, and it can leave people questioning themselves or bringing up issues which really didn't exist until that idea was put into their head. And so what that was about was really that people should be much more responsible and sensitive when they've got that responsibility of producing something which is going to be in the public eye.
Yeah.
And that really did annoy me, and so I put that down in as much of a diplomatic matter as I could. But to get the point across as well, we can be more human and sensitive about things. We can just report. I mean, the job of the media, me personally, I believe, should be to give news, not for them to give their version of the news. It's not supposed to be their job to try to manipulate opinions one way or another. Give people the news and give them the freedom and the respect that they'll make their own minds up.
Yeah. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't work that way, does it?
Unfortunately.
People do have their own opinions, but that's a part and parcel of the media at the moment in the 21st century.
I mean, I can be opinionated, and anybody who knows me online knows that I can be a little bit on the gobby side, but that's my personal media account. That's my opinion. I wouldn't dare dream of putting that in a newspaper because that's not my job.
Yeah.
So
You're there to inform.
Right.
Your own opinion is something that you keep on your own personal life, in your own personal space, or maybe you want to share it on Facebook or whatever, but in a paper, in a mass-produced paper, then of course, like you say, you should be a bit more neutral.
Absolutely.
In your reporting. Debbie, like I said, we met when you were reporting at the North Cyprus Cancer Trust fair. We met there, you met with other people. So is your job now for the paper to go out and about and meet people and report on events, report on what's happening out there? What's your role in North Cyprus scene?
Well, I'm always looking for interesting people to interview for my day in the life of, which has become very popular. I go and speak to all the expats, know about what's going on, when people are leaving, when people are coming, when parties, that sort of thing. I've also got a great respect for the people who help the street dogs and the animals, so we've always got a regular feature on that. Car actually put over an editorial to us every week where we're trying to help the pets be rehomed. Same as the Vineall dogs, we're also on board with that, we're helping. Just everything that's of interest, and light-heartedly as well. You know, we don't want to upset anybody or bore them with anything. It's all interesting and it's all newsy. It's what they want to hear.
Yes, and there's also international news, and I've also noticed there's in a recent one we had an article from an African student, I think, didn't we as
that
well?
was on the student page. So we have a student page, which, well, it's pages 12 and 13 every week guaranteed. So we reached out to the university students and we said to them, look, we have these 2 pages. If you want to publish anything, it could be about anything. It could be about your life here, it could be about the struggles of students, your culture. And we've had some really great articles and great responses from the students, and they quite like the fact that somebody's given them that space.
Yes, I mean, when we look at your publication, it's not easy, I don't think, in North Cyprus or anywhere to be successful regularly. It's not easy to bring out a publication. It looks easy when we have it in our hands, oh yeah, whatever. But I can imagine all the hard work that goes in to preparing your paper every week to make it to a certain standard, to fill up the
guide.
to fill up the pages.
Well,
to make it
see, the thing is this is what happens. So we always ask people, what do you want?
Yeah.
And so many people said, we want a TV guide. We want a TV guide. We want the channels that we actually watch. So we
all
thought,
the English
okay,
channels.
we'll put that in. Oh my goodness, do you know, it is the most time-consuming part of the entire newspaper. But you know, if that's what people want, they're paying their money. So you know, you should serve the public. We're a small team. We have had mistakes along the way. We do acknowledge that there have been mistakes made along the way, and it is upsetting when you pick up a newspaper and then you notice it, and I'm just, oh, for goodness sake, because you really do put a lot of effort and heart and soul into it. But it's in its infancy, so please bear with us. We are asking for patience. Human error does occur.
It's teething problems.
We'll call it teething problems. But we are going from strength to strength.
But I've noticed that you are trying to interact with the public more and get feedback from them and to serve them, which is quite interesting. You know, like you said with the students, you know, you're aiming for maybe a market that wasn't thought of before.
Yeah. Also a children's voice as well, which we have on page 27. We have a budding young journalist who actually, I haven't mentioned it before, he does happen to be my son, but I thought it would be great, you know, it would be nice for children to have a voice, and he'll sometimes go and interview his friends and write something up, and one of his pieces, he felt the need to write it as a child who's half Greek Cypriot, half Turkish Cypriot as well. And get that out of the way and out of his system, and which it was such a beautiful, well-written article. I think anybody who read that would have said, you know, what a great young man. And to be honest with you, I thought to myself, isn't it amazing that small children can pick up on certain things and put them so simplistically, and grown adults can't, because we become so hung up on you know, what we think is right. But so we have a children's page there, and I think things like that as well, going across the spectrum, because this is the whole aim. I mean, we have the front part of the newspaper, which is about 10 pages of news, but then we want people to know what's going on in their community. So from children to students to expats, you know, everybody's welcome. Anybody who wants to submit something, they're more than welcome. And we do have people that submit articles at times as well. We have a couple of guys who submit sports results for darts and pool, the Credit West ladies cricket team. It's, you know, it's really such a great thing to work with.
A very nice community paper,
Yes.
it seems like. And like you say, I mean, if there are any mistakes, it's a teething procedure at the moment. I mean, 14th editions, which is, very, very young at the moment. So we wish you all the best for that. You can give out the information about how people can contact you, maybe to give you articles towards the end of this interview. But going back to you, Debbie, so here you are in North Cyprus, and you came with your daughter, and now you've got another grandchild on the way, and you're busy with this. Did you want to be busy like this, going out and about? Do you enjoy being with other people, meeting new people, going out in the community? Is that something that keeps you happy and occupied?
Yes, I do. I really enjoy it. This is just what I was looking for in Cyprus.
Yeah.
To do this, because I thoroughly enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work. I thoroughly enjoy what I do.
How many articles do you normally have to write for each issue?
Well, it all depends what's coming up. I always have my day in a life of. That's a regular feature. And then there'll be all different things that I'll write about, say like the bazaars at Christmas, upcoming events, just anything that's going to be interesting for the expats.
So you could always maybe attend an event, do a write-up about it, what happened, who you met there. So that's something that maybe people should know, that you are willing to go out to different locations. You can travel. Yeah. You don't mind.
Not at all.
Where is the paper actually based, the headquarters? Where do you...
In Gidner.
In Gidner?
Yes.
Carrican.
So obviously you do yours online.
Yes.
But don't tell me you travel to Gidner every day.
Oh, no. Yes, I travel to Gidner. No, I do. I travel to Gidner every day.
Really?
Yeah, the office is in Gidner.
My God, you're a dedicated lady, you are, Serpil.
Do you know, everybody is so surprised by the distance, but actually that Sentepe road, it's a straight road, and there's nobody ever on there. So actually you can get there in 45 minutes. It's not that bad.
Yeah, probably just as long as to get to Gazi Mausa as it is to Gidner, I suppose, from Buyuk Konuk.
Pretty much.
Yeah, maybe not too... Yes, you're right. With the Sentepe road, it's not too bad at all. It's a lovely drive.
It's very scenic.
So you have your team there writing for the paper, and as you said, people can contribute.
Yes.
How many pages is the paper? I mean, how many... Do you need to fill it up with other people's contributions? I mean, or are you all right at the moment, or do you welcome any other contributions?
We will actually amend it around what is submitted to us, because, as I said, because we want it to be community based. Obviously, we give news, and people want to know news. So, I mean, if you see the layout, you'll have the first front pages of Cyprus news, and then you have a little bit of UK news, world news. And, if we have the space for it, we'll put news from Turkey. If we don't have space for it, we'll take that out. But it will always go by what is submitted and what is going on, because the priority is to keep the community involved in the newspaper. Yeah. So, that's how we really begin the week. We brainstorm and have a look at the emails and see who's sent what, and we try to fit as much in as we can.
So, who puts the paper together? I mean, who decides what goes in and what goes out?
We decide together.
You and who else?
Myself.
You, Debbie.
Debbie. We have a classic car journalist, Shen Tibet. He also helps, and he will help with researching and seeing what is going on as well, and he will help bring things to our attention if because sometimes we might get a little bit distracted, and he's like the eyes and ears, and his help is very valuable. So all of us in there, even Sammy Ord, who he is funding the newspaper. Everybody is, we will sit down and go through, what we've got and what's going in, and we try to put everybody's work in there.
If somebody wanted to submit something, what's your cut-off date? Because we do know that this comes out every Saturday,
yes,
the paper. So you must have a deadline where, if you wanted to go into this week's paper, it's got to be submitted by?
Thursday.
The Thursday?
So ideally Thursday. if it's time sensitive, especially, please by Thursday. If it's not time sensitive, I can push maybe to Friday morning, but then that puts a lot of pressure on the page maker. So preferably, if it's not time sensitive, as early as possible.
Yeah.
Because then at least, as I said, we can plan around it. If it's later, we'll do our best, but if not, then, you know, we'll put it in for the next week. You know, everybody is more than welcome.
It's a very unusual venture. The reason why I'm saying that, because as a man who's been living here for many, many years, and I've actually seen many papers come and go. Don't get me wrong on this. You know, this is just my observation. It is very, very time consuming. Not as easy as it looks from the outside, putting the paper together. There could be mistakes. You need great editors. You need great contributors. It's a lot of money and effort. Do you think now, after 40 issues, that you, as a gang there, as the people behind, are you happy with the direction the paper is going in? Are you sure that, you know, this is how we want things to continue?
Yeah. Obviously, you recognise every week is a lesson and there's always improvements to be made. And, you know, there's nothing to say that if something else came along which could go in, maybe we might go from 32 pages to 40 pages, who knows? I think it's not ideal to set something in stone and say this is how it's going to go. It's like a branch that doesn't bend in the wind, it breaks.
Yeah.
So you have to be flexible on that. Do I think, I mean, obviously a lot of people have said, oh, but everything's online now. True, yes, everything is online. But sometimes people just want to sit down and read a newspaper, and we know that because they're selling. So if you're going to sell a newspaper, you have to put something in there that's going to make people want to buy it.
Yeah.
So again, it's never going to be a case of, oh, it absolutely has to be like this. It depends on what people want. If somebody wants something, or we find that there's a group of people in the community who want something, well then, like I said, if you're a branch, you either bend or you break. Yeah. So that's the aim.
Well, it's a very good aim. I have to say that, you know, I mean, I'm impressed with what you've done so far. And just so that everyone can see a front page, so you can recognise it on the shelves. North Cyprus Scene is out now every Saturday. You've got articles that you're writing yourselves, you're doing your own bit, you can get people contributing. There is no limit, as you say, and it depends on what you're getting. The feedback so far, not from people who are contributing, but people who are reading it. Have you had contact from, have you seen people out there who you don't necessarily know, who haven't contributed, but who have said to you, oh, I really enjoyed this article, I'm really enjoying the paper. Have you had good feedback?
I don't know if this counts, but actually, because of a feedback situation like that, we ended up with this week's feature. A gentleman came in, expat, and he actually went into a bakery which is next door to us, and he saw the newspaper on their table, and he was reading through it, and apparently he said to the people working there, where did you get this? I love this newspaper. And so the guy that works there, he said, oh, they do it next door. So he came in and he was really pleased about it. He said, you know, it's not heavy. He said, it's what I want to read is, you know, I know now what's going on, what's not going on. You know, it's community things which I love to read about. There's news, but it's not opinionated, it's not too political, which it's not political at all. It's just, you know, news and then what we've already explained. So as we were sitting down having a chat with this gentleman, he began telling a story of his own. And this man is 82 years old and one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my life, a deep sea diver. He still dives. He was one of those people where you look at him and you think, wow, life goals, I can't even swim properly. And he's actually going through a medical at the moment so that he can do a dive in the North Sea. He was in the Olympics youth swimming team in 1948. He had just this amazing story to tell, and then he came in a couple of days later and said, look, actually there's this story that I really want to tell you. It's about a very, very rare coin, which he found on one of his dives, and it turns out that it's one of the rarest coins in the world and it's worth tens of thousands of pounds. And
Wow.
so when he came in with that, and he said, "Look, do you mind doing a story about it?" Of course, I don't mind. Thank you very much. So,
Come in and let me check the details.
so I love this story, and the gentleman himself, Jeb Robinson. He is absolutely lovely. He's a great man to talk to. Very fascinating person.
Very interesting. So amazing, isn't it? Just from one read of your paper, found you next door, and then there you are. Got great stories.
It was like a little gift that day, honestly, because obviously it's nice to hear good feedback. But then when he came back and he started telling us his story, I thought, wow, where did you come from? You know, where were you before?
What have we met before? What haven't we heard of you? Debbie, what about, you know, how do you find your guests every week that you feature in the day in life of? I mean, you are quite relatively new to North Cyprus. You're learning about all the people who are here, the people too. I'm sure you're being guided by good people now that you're out there in the paper. How do you find your guests? Who inspires you? Or
I know a lot of people in the expat community.
Yeah.
It's just finding interesting people. They're all more than willing to help me, the expats. We all tend to sort of stick together.
Yeah.
So as soon as anything's happening, they straight away tell me who I should be interviewing, who they'd like me to interview, who they'd like to read about. So that's what I do. It's just an insight into the people who have left England and what their life is like here in Cyprus.
Yeah.
And the reasons.
And there are lots of people who have left England and who are loving Cyprus here, and everyone's got a different story to tell. I'm sure even, you know, anyone on the street is interesting enough to be in a paper because everyone's got a lovely story. Even your story about, you know, your daughter's birthmark, Cyprus, and, you know, it's a lovely story to tell for a paper. And again, when it comes to, let's say, you know, dogs which are close to your heart, rehoming animals, or whether anyone can come and contact you, they know how to find you. Where is the office exactly in Guinea?
It's in Karakum.
In Karakum?
It's next to the Upper Crust English Bakery.
Oh, that's the bakery you're talking about.
Very easy to find. Near the First Limar in Karakum.
Right.
So it's very easy to find.
Excellent. So they can. Are you normally based in there during the day?
Yeah, unless I'm out chasing a story.
Right.
Do you know, it's funny you should say that and mention the bakery. You had a programme or a topic on the BRT radio station a few weeks ago about people who are or are not keeping their New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm sitting next to an English bakery every single day. I'm not even going to bother making a New Year's resolution. It's never going to work. So, yeah, that didn't happen this year.
It didn't happen.
No.
It won't happen for a long time.
No.
Unless you stay in Bucon, that can do everything online via emails. You know, Bucon, but mind you, that Bucon's got lots of great food, and you know, they're you know, your eco days are fantastic for eating and drinking.
Do you know, it's almost like one of those dramatic fate things where, you know, your worst enemy is a carbohydrate, and everything nice in your cultural cooking is a carbohydrate, and then you end up with somebody next door who is doing the best of English bakery, and it's all carbohydrates. And I thought, you know, just enjoy it, because sometimes you fancy a little bit of the UK.
Yeah, sometimes you do. And in fact, having said that, I never actually asked you, Serpil, even though you said that your parents are from, or you know, you have a background from Regina, were you born here or in the UK?
No, I was born and raised in the UK. I mean, I spent a lot of time here. I went to school here briefly when I was around 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
I actually went to Bayraktar Turk Marif College for a little while. So I've always had that attachment to here, and I actually was going through a few of my old stuff last year, and I found my GCSE coursework for my English, and I sat and I started reading through it, and we had to, I remember one of them was an inspector calls, another one was about an advertising company, and then there was another one which we had to write a biography, and I read it, and in there, I don't even remember writing this, but in there I wrote that my future ambition is to set my life up back in Cyprus. And when I read that back, I thought, isn't that funny? Because I don't even remember writing that.
When did you come back full-time here? How long have you been here full-time now?
Not long, to be honest with you, maybe a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so well, it's good to have you back here anyway, Serpil.
you.
You're a
It's
lovely
good to be
character
back.
and
Thank you.
a lovely person, and so are you, Debbie, as well.
thank you.
And it's been very, very interesting to chatting with you ladies, and send my regards back to everyone else in the office.
Thank you.
But before we do end the interview, how do we contact you guys? Is there an email address?
Right, on the second page, if you open to...
Okay, you do that for us now, Serpil. Come on, go to the second page of your paper. Let me do it as well with you. So we have the Cyprus scene, ladies and gentlemen, and we turn to the second page, and we have all the information
All the
here.
information
The
is there.
contact details.
Right, so the office number, if you don't mind me reading it out, 815-0533, that's a landline, so if you're phoning from a mobile, 0392 is the code, 815-0533, and then you've got Deborah, and her number is, of course, the same office number, and the same for Sami and for Chanel Tibet, and basically, North Cyprus Scene is available every Saturday,
Yep.
and
It's
at
only
40L, it's very
Cheap as chips.
cheaper. Where can we get this? Or is it everywhere at the moment
It's
now?
in pretty much everywhere in Guinea, mostly in Guinea. We have a few places, so we have in the City Mall, Unimart in Malsa. We have a few supermarkets in Lefkosha, but generally the Supremes, the Lemars, the Tempos, Erdina, Shah, places like this, you will find the newspaper there.
So you've hit the Guinea area most, but do
Yes.
you hope to expand
We do,
more in the future?
Again, you never know.
We never know. Watch this
Never know.
space, as they say.
Absolutely.
But I want to say that you've done a really, really good job.
Thank you.
I do really think this is amazing. And on this front page, Children's Voice, who is this young guy then?
That's my young guy.
Okay, do you want to say hello to your son, who has written the great?
Hello, Nazir. I'm very, very proud of you.
Well done to Nadia. And I just want to say that it isn't easy. It isn't easy to get things off the ground, and I'm sure that the whole team is working night and day to get this paper going, continuing. Are you looking forward to a good 2018? Are you looking forward to good support from your public out there? Are you looking forward to people contacting you with new ideas? You're open to new ideas, new articles. Yes, Debbie, what have you got lined up for? Who's our next, or do you not want to mention who's coming out this Saturday?
I've actually got an English bakery.
Right.
A day in the life of.
Uh-huh.
My ongoing support with the Vineall dogs and car. We've also got Pam Schofield's
Book launch. Yes, yes.
That's in there as well. So yeah, it's full of.
You're busy.
Yeah.
You're very, very busy.
Debbie, I must say, has been an angel in disguise. I mean, she was one of the first people who applied. And I know it sounds a little bit cheesy, but honestly, as soon as I saw her and I sat and spoke with her, I knew that this lady was going to be a great part of the team.
Yeah.
And I have to mention that I don't know what I would do if I didn't have Deborah, and I really appreciate everything she does.
Nice. So there's a good vibe between you, and it looks like the paper's got a good vibe as well.
Thank you.
And like I said, I wish you all the best of luck for the future. We need great people to do great things in North Cyprus to make us heard. It could be online, but like you say, we're a bit old school sometimes. We like to have the paper in front of us while we're having our coffee and tea. So yes, I think it's good to have a physical paper out there. But keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And like I said, if people want to see you, they can either contact you via the information on page 2 of the paper, but also the office hours. When are you there at the office?
Definitely from about 8 o'clock in the morning, and certainly until 6 o'clock in the evening, sometimes later.
It's a long, long day for you.
It is a long day, but it is great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And with that thought, I think it's time for us to say goodbye. Serpil and Debbie, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Good luck with all the ventures, and I hope that all your readers enjoy keeping up to date with what's going on in the TRNC and around the world with North Cyprus Scene. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good luck. And with that, we've come to the end of this very interesting interview with Debbie, Vineall and Serpil Kadırlar. And enjoy Cyprus Scene every Saturday, or North Cyprus Scene every Saturday here in the TRNC. Until the next couple of conversation here on BRT2 TV, go well and take care. Bye-bye.